Okay. All right. Then we'll go to Blair Cushing, Texas Academy for Family Physicians. And while Blair's coming up, members, I just want you all to be aware that we have 10 folks still waiting to testify, and it is the chairman's goal to finish so that we have enough time, hopefully before we go to the floor at 2, to grab lunch. And I don't mean to cut off debate, just wanted everyone to have an idea of what's left before we adjourn. So with that, Blair, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Blair Cushing. I'm currently a fourth-year medical student at the University of North Texas Health Science Center, and I'm here representing the Texas Academy of Family Physicians. My intention is to graduate this May and pursue a residency in family medicine. I'm here to testify regarding the LBB's recommendations from the GEAR and emphasize TAFP's strong support for all of these recommendations. I know that you all heard about it this morning, but unfortunately there's very much a crisis in Texas in terms of the number of medical students that were graduating versus the number of available residency positions for them to go into. By 2016, it's estimated that over 100 graduating medical students would not have a space to be able to obtain a first-year residency position in the state of Texas. Therefore, that means that we are exporting our greatest resource. Looking around my classmates, the vast majority of them are Texas residents from birth. They attended primary and secondary school here. They attended their university and received their bachelor's degrees in Texas, and now are going to be graduating from Texas medical schools. These are absolutely the best and the brightest and the last people in the world that we want to export to other states. We need to keep them here at home. Unfortunately, Texas is also suffering from a larger healthcare crisis in terms of how we take care of our population. As you heard again in the report this morning, the way that the residency system is currently structured in Texas, greater than 2/3 of the current existing positions are for subspecialties, so less than 1/3 is in primary care. If you think about the optimal healthcare system for a population, it should look like a triangle where the base is primary care. Unfortunately, we currently have an upside-down triangle where a very small portion is primary care and the vast bulk is through subspecialty physicians. Unfortunately, that's going to drive up the cost of care and not serve people in the areas where they need to be served. The majority of funding is also going to large teaching hospitals through our health-related institutions, and therefore we have a geographic disparity wherein the physicians that we're training are not located in the communities where we need them most. The recommendations that came out of the GEAR are largely based on a program that started at the federal level, came out of the Affordable Care Act as a pilot project called the Teaching Health Centers Program. And what this has done is said, let's take the dollars that we're currently investing in graduate medical education, and rather than funneling them to these large teaching hospitals and allowing it to slowly trickle down to the residency program, wherein they're not going to receive the entirety of the dollars that were initially intended for graduate medical education, we will give these dollars directly to the residency programs. And furthermore, we will train residents in the areas where we most need them. So we started utilizing community health centers, other small rural and community hospitals to start training residents, because these are the areas where we ultimately want them to work. If you consider primary care providers in particular, one thing that I've heard over and over as I've been on my quest searching for residency and interviewing these past few months, I'm hearing from faculty members who trained at these large institutions that they came out of their residencies feeling inadequately prepared to actually practice primary care in the outpatient settings. So this new model of training physicians in community health centers in underserved areas means that we're going to better prepare these physicians for future practice in the areas where we most want them to be. This program to date has graduated over 200 residents on the national level, and the bulk of them are indeed practicing in underserved and rural communities exactly where we want them to be. Despite the shortages that exist in graduate medical education numbers overall, we can't just keep dumping money on this problem. We really do need to direct where these dollars go and have a true strategy for how we're going to take care of the healthcare needs of Texans moving forward. If we just keep putting money on the problem, the positions that the hospitals want to create are largely going to be in the subspecialties because they carry the highest reimbursements. When we don't have funding or there's an uncertain funding future, it's easier for them to say, let's fund a fellowship for a single year for a subspecialist, and if that money goes away, it's of inconsequence. Whereas for a family residency, I need a minimum of 3 years to be able to complete my training. The reimbursement that I would be able to obtain for an institution is not going to be nearly as high, and therefore there's just not the will to try and fund those types of positions. Excuse me. So ultimately, what is currently happening at the Senate level is Senators Nelson, Seliger, and Hinojosa have sponsored SB 18, which is actually going to codify the recommendations from the LBB's GEAR to try and create a permanent fund for graduate medical education so that we will not have to deal with that perpetual uncertainty of what's going to happen year over year, and to, again, codify the recommendations for how we'll utilize state-funded graduate medical education moving forward so that we don't continue to have the same types of disparities that we've experienced. You may have heard anecdotally that medical students are not interested in primary care. I will tell you, again, from my recent experience interviewing for family medicine residency spots, one example is when I was interviewing in El Paso, which is a residency program that only takes 8 first-year residents every year. They had over 2,000 applicants for those 8 spots. The interest is there. We can produce these physicians. We need your support in training them in the communities where they need to be, and we can absolutely change the healthcare outcomes from the state of Texas. Thank you.
Members, any questions for Ms. Cushing? Blair, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you very much.
Next up, the chair calls Mr. James Willman with the Texas Nurses Association. In the queue behind him will be Alejandro Moreno, Texas Chapter of American College of Physicians, and then John DeMiss, Texas Chapter of American College of Physicians.